My name is Simon Bale and I'm the Vosco representative to the Thriving Neighbourhoods Board, which last met on Tuesday the 24th of March. Before the meeting began, we finalised the third representative from the Neighbourhood Partnerships to the Thriving Neighbourhoods Board, and this will be Tracy Edwards-Brown from Hartcliffe and Witherwood Community Partnership. The first item on the agenda actually was from Tracy and her colleague Heather Williams, representing the Hartcliffe and Witherwood Community Partnership, which is the body leading the way with the neighbourhood partnership in that area. And they shared with us some of the issues and some of the concerns and some of the ways forward that partnership is having to struggle with in changing from the Hartcliffe and Witherwood Community Partnership into a fully fledged neighbourhood partnership which covers a bigger area and operates in a slightly different way. Issues around how, for example, neighbourhood management works within an area such as Hartcliffe and Witherwood and Bishopsworth, and how that relates to the old style of working which comes from the work of the neighbourhood renewal process and the neighbourhood management ideas which came from that. Tracy and Heather were at pains to point out that the transition wasn't necessarily smooth and that there was some education needed locally, some understanding needed in areas which had gone from one system to another, which raised in particular the issue around what we mean by management, neighbourhood management, and what we mean by neighbourhood partnership. And there is something which we have to do as a partnership board to clarify this process. Also present at the meeting was Julian Moss, who was responsible for neighbourhood policing in Bristol, and he proposed that a working group be set up to actually clarify some of this thinking. Probably best if I read some of the action points from the minutes at this point to explain what's going to be happening on that. This group is going to be set up to work out what the roles currently are and what the roles should be of neighbourhood partnerships and how they could move from one to the other. How key agencies such as the police and the city council and others could be organised to fulfil a neighbourhood management role. How neighbourhood partnerships and other community partnerships are already interacting, depending on the nature of those relationships, what models for community involvement could be developed. And finally, what powers could be devolved to neighbourhood partnerships based on the evidence of models elsewhere. This group hasn't met yet. I am actually going to be one of the members of that group and I will be able to report back our decisions as soon as possible, and they will be taken back to the Thriving Neighbourhoods Board, obviously, for discussion there. People need to understand locally and in the city actually what neighbourhood partnerships are for. This was only our second neighbourhood partnership board meeting. We are still exploring what those priorities are and how to make them relevant for local residents. So it's a work in progress, but I felt that we made some good progress at the meeting, and it's really a case of watch this space. Another item on the agenda was presented by Graham Sims, the council officer responsible for neighbourhood partnerships, who was explaining and exploring with us how some parts of the council are reshaping the way they do their work to address, to reflect the emerging neighbourhood partnerships, but also how some parts of the council are way behind that. In fact, the majority of the council still really has to wake up to the fact that neighbourhood partnerships are on the ground in Bristol and are a real thing. We are going to still struggle with that, but I think it's an example of how not just the City Council but all agencies which deliver services in local areas need to address how they do this delivery of services. And then the Thriving Neighbourhoods Board is obviously the place where that discussion needs to happen. But those organisations do need to take seriously how they need to change to engage with neighbourhood partnerships effectively. Since we last met as the Thriving Neighbourhoods Board back in February, there has been a change of political leadership in the city. The Liberal Democrats are now the leading party, and Bev Knott, Councillor Bev Knott, is the executive member with responsibility for the neighbourhood partnerships. When he arrived at the meeting, I asked him basically what does this mean for the neighbourhood partnerships, and he assured me and the rest of the meeting that nothing changes currently, that things will carry on developing as they are, which I find useful, and I think it's important we should all bear that in mind. So the next meeting of the Thriving Neighbourhoods Partnership Board is on the 23rd of April at Shirehampton. And if you have any issues you would like to raise at that meeting, then please do contact me.